I'm going to answer your second question first about has Phi Alpha Nu moved out of the Bible Belt? Yes, we have. We actually have members in the North. But we had this conversation earlier before the panel started. A lot of it has to deal with when you're advertising your organization and they see that you have members in Florida, Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, and you happen to live out in Arizona or California, people feel that if they don't have somebody who's in that organization out there, that they cannot join. So we are a national organization. We try to explain, you have to explain to people, yes, just because I don't have any members out there, you can be a member. We are trying to expand out there. So we do go outside the Bible Belt, so absolutely. As to your other question, does being on a college campus, does it allow us being inclusive? I would say no, but I believe, and this is my personal opinion, because there may be members of my organization who may think totally different than what I feel. In order for the LGBT Greek letter organization as a whole to get on college campuses and be that presence on college campuses, this community has to have a solid foundation. And we spoke about this earlier. There's 90 different organizations. We don't have a council. And until we have something that's solid, where we can go to college campuses as a whole in a unified forum and be like, look, you will have to accept who we are because we have a large presence. And we are solid, we have rules, we have bylaws, constitutions, everything. So individually, each organization has to really set their foundation solid and get their things together. Then as the LGBT Greek letter organization community as a whole, we have got to get ourselves together. And until that happens, it's never going to happen. And that's just my personal opinion.
We just can't go there half step. Like I said, we tried with Upsilon at a college in Maryland, and we got feedback. And since then, we have made alterations based on the feedback to actually open ourselves up to more everyone, being in general. To answer your question, do we allow? Yes, we do. But would a heterosexual man join this organization? That's the question that should be posed. Because my answer will be no, because of who we are. It also depends on the region as well. Yes, we have moved out of the Bible Belt, and our northeast region has shown the most productivity and most growth compared to the southwest, where we had the rebirth. So we have seen that in our numbers. So basically, what we're dealing with is basically a regional issue, because we all know how the regional trends go when it comes to progressive regional issues, political, what have you. And that's basically what's going to drive our growth as these type of organizations.
Okay. What I was going to say as far as collegiate presence, I wanted to piggyback off of what she was saying as far as like coming unified and saying, hey, this is what we're trying to do. As far as like getting advisors and things like that on the different campuses, actually knowing like the geographical things that go along with that on the campuses, and also having the resources, the funding, and the reception for the marketing. Because you can promote all day. So, but even in 2011, there are people who are identified as gay, lesbian, even transgender, and they're at these college campuses, but they don't know how they're going to be received when they come back to school from an intake process from one of the LGBT Greek letter organizations. Like, as far as my brother said, as far as like people comparing and saying, okay, well, your colors are this and that, so you're trying to be alpha, you're trying to be a Kappa, whatever. And if you're the only one that's on your campus and you don't have that support when you go back to school, and you're trying to get the information out there to other people on your campus, then you're kind of blackballed. And it's like, okay, well, you coming in here with these colors and letters, what does this mean? What is this? What is that? And it's like you have to answer all these questions, but then it's like you answering these questions for what? Because they still have the mentality like, oh, it's just a fake alpha, it's just a fake Kappa. So it's like you're kind of like you're put in a bind almost, Because when you're going to these campus advisory boards with these proposals, it's like, do we want to take a chance? And especially if you're coming by yourself.
That's one thing. Another thing we have to working against us is those organizations do exist. We all know that. I don't know what they're called now, but they were Miyaka, but I think they're the Academic Society now. And then you have distinct courses and what have you. Now, again, for people who don't know the difference, they're going to assimilate us with those organizations, and we know that we're nothing like that. But that's an obstacle that we as LGBT GLOs have to working against us, and we have to try to come together and overcome. I think is what I made y'all.
You all say you do service. What is your process when choosing the nonprofit or the community service that you choose to do?
Can I go for time because I haven't been able to talk? Y'all are great speakers. Phi Nu Kappa actually when we select our service projects locally, we do it as a chapter. We have a community service chair who coordinates those things, and we as a chapter decide that this month we're going to focus on this issue, or next month we're going to focus on this issue, or what have you. It's democratic. We all decide what we're going to do. On a national level, it's all also a democratic process where we actually, the body gets together at an event that we call Conclave, which is our national convention, and we vote on what service projects we are going to do as a body and what our ideals are going to be for moving forward.
How will we approach you? If us as nonprofits and community service, how will we approach you about sponsoring our?
Well, most times what happens is we get involved with an organization that we feel passionate about, and most of us are open to volunteering or getting involved with other nonprofits. Like, for instance, Kenny. He does everything with K-Side, but he still finds time to do stuff with Shades of Pride. My passion, I like working with teenagers, so I volunteer with Greensboro Youth Council most times than none. And so most times it's him inviting me to an event or me inviting him to an event and saying, this is what I'm doing, what do you think about this? Is this something that Phi Nu Kappa wants to do nationally because they have the same goals, agendas, mission, purpose? It falls in line with what you're doing. So maybe y'all should look at this. And what we usually do is I ask that an organization put together some type of proposal that we take to our national body and say, hey, this is what this organization is doing. They've requested us to partner with them. And most times, if a member is committed and is passionate about it, they'll take it to the national level and say, hey, I think we should do this as a national organization. But 9 times out of 10, because we're so spread apart, we have members across the United States. You can't, for like localized events, you're not going to get national input. They'll recommend that the local chapter or colony participates and makes that their partnership on the local level.
And to add to that, with Phi Nu Kappa, we actually do individual service and chapter service. So as an individual, if you want to volunteer with any organization, as long as you're volunteering and actually doing community service, it's counted as community service hours. You can volunteer with whatever organization you want to volunteer with. But as a chapter, we actually do come together. We vote on whichever ones we're going to do as a chapter because we have to have chapter hours as well as individual hours to stay active in our organization.
I wanted to add to that. Theta also we do, because we're a service organization, so we also do our individual community service. And like, say if I'm doing something with a specific organization out of Greensboro, then I'll bring it back to my brothers and say, hey, this is going on. So if y'all want to come together and do something here, then we can do this as a whole. But as a whole, basically we try to focus on the things that we state in our mission and statement and what we already geared towards as far as HIV and AIDS awareness, the youth, and then we'll try to combine the two or find one or the other. But we do our individual service, and then 9 times out of 10, like I said, with us doing our individual service, it'll end up being a networking opportunity where we can actually come together as an organization and work with that particular person or organization or business or whatever the case may be.
Victor, you had a question?
No, actually, I didn't have a question. I just had a statement.
I just want to say, because I was here at the last one a few months ago, and I just want to say, you know, as a member or as a previous member of an LGBT Greek letter organization, that the way you all represented yourself was just exceptional. A lot of times what I see, like I said, as a previous member of an organization, is that there's a lot of bickering, there's a lot of incohesive behavior that goes on, a lot of negativity, things that don't amount to what we all stand for as an individual or as collectively in our organization. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time to just sit down and talk about the things that are relevant to what we're trying to do. Also, thank you to the D9 organizations that are here representing, because a lot of times we do have that stigma where we're not welcome, you guys don't like us, you don't want us, but at the same time, we provide some of the same services, we provide some of the same assets. So I really do appreciate the way everybody's just flowing. You guys are so eloquent, and if I had to choose, I would join every single one of your organizations. So, but I know that can't happen, so.
That's a good close.
Thank you.
I like that.
Wait, just one more thing. If, okay, say for instance, does everybody that puts in an interest form get accepted?
No.
No.
Now, what are some of, just one or two of you maybe, what are some of the things that would work against them?
What are some of the things that work against the interest? If you're not willing to meet face to face before you come online, that's gonna work against you. If you have an attitude, that's gonna work against you. If you
That's
come,
two things.
That's good. We'll go down the line. All right.
If you don't show up to community service projects,
And one more.
a felony.
Kristen, too. Let's go.
Okay, two things that would work against you would definitely be, you know, the whole community service thing. 'Cause if
do something new,
that's
girl.
no, but I'm saying like that's important for P and K. Like if we invite you to come and fellowship and do service with us, and then you say no, I am gonna come, and then you don't show, that looks it looks like a red flag. Yeah, well maybe. Also, you know, once the interest application is submitted and we actually communicate with you and there's an interview process, you need to carry you're interviewing for a job. Go to that interview. Be prepared to answer any question that they have, and even if it takes you a moment, gather your thoughts, come prepared, like dress the part, not really sound the part, but
Fake it till you make it.
not fake it till you make it, but like really, you need to come with the mindset of I'm gonna win this at all costs. Like I'm winning this, and this is where I want to be. So that's my 2 points.
The presentation of the application package, that speaks volumes, and then the interview.
I would say meeting the deadlines. If your application is supposed to be in on the 21st, have it in on the 21st. And also your first impression in general, the whole first impression. If you're coming in the interest group with drama from the beginning, then that's a no-no. And then you turn in your application on the 25th when it's done when it's due on the 21st. Then
Oh, I
we have nothing to talk about.
It's a combination of just about everything everybody said, but we have a criteria, especially the application, because that's the very first thing that you see is with the person. Your application has to be presentable, like spell check works wonders.
Yes,
So
it
basically-
does. Amen.
Oh my goodness. So basically you have to at least read, write, and understand at least a 9th grade level. And basically your attitude. Being able to follow simple instructions, because the process that we have is set up a specific way and it's spelled out that a monkey can do it, and yes, they have a nice grade education. So there's simple instructions. If you can't follow simple instructions, you're not gonna go far.
Just to add one more thing, because I know we have all had to deal with this. Please, if you're going to be an interest, okay, we all new organizations know we not divine now. Please do not come with a sense of entitlement. please do not come like, oh,
Yes,
we
Lord.
need you, and y'all gonna take me, cause y'all know. Real quick, I'd be like, thank you so much for your $25 donation for the application fee. We will use it towards our philanthropy. Get back.
Oh, and one thing you also need is discipline.
Yeah.
Someone has discipline and self-control.
And someone that is humble
Yes, thank
to
you.
be receptive to, like, the process of becoming a member is just that. It is a process. You have to be humble enough to understand that at the end of the day,
It's not about you.
it's not about you, and it's not about your emotions and your feelings, and all of us have lives outside of what we are trying to do here, and we understand that stuff come up and all that stuff, but just be humble. Humble yourself and be receptive.
On behalf of State of Pride, we would like to thank all of our panel members and you guys for coming
Hold
out.
on, wait a minute. My closing argument, because I want to thank all of y'all for coming for real, but especially I want to thank Theta and Upsilon because they did travel to come up here. This was not a hot skipping jump for them, because I know if they called me and said, do you want to come to Houston? I'd be like, baby.